Well, a very happy Thursday. Welcome back once again. Technical difficulty. Not a thing. We're not launching nuclear missiles or anything. It's okay. We remain at 888-630-9625. I got to tell you, I played the audio for you of the mother with her kids, her daughters, who were cheering the idea that the best news ever would be that the president was dead. And the second best news ever would be that the vice president was dead. And it made a little bit of news, not enough news. It should have made more news because the Democrats are raising bloodthirsty goblins as children, and little girls are cheering the idea that the president of the United States died, that the vice president of the United States died, and that then Elon Musk died. Isn't that amazing? And that woman shouldn't be raising children. I'll give you that much. And then the story broke that this woman, who's allegedly a school teacher, raising children of her own and then influencing a generation of children in the school, apparently. And reports surfaced that the woman in question, whose name is apparently Krista Cole, is married to a U.S. Army officer, Krista with a K, KKK, Krista Cole. And she's cheering the idea, hey, kids, her two little daughters, I've got the most exciting news ever. And what's that? And the little kids, they announce, you know what it reminded me of, Michael, was the earth is on fire and we're all going to die soon. This is pretty amazing stuff that the Democrats are inflicting upon all of us. But the Democrat mother in question, not one of the good guys, Krista Cole, pretty amazing stuff. And then the stories emerged that she's married to a U.S. Army officer. And if that's true, then that, I think, would be problematic, too. But this is the school teacher in Colorado, Krista Cole, addressing her two daughters who say she has the best news ever. It's the best news that they could possibly hear. And what is it?
I have the best news ever.
What? Donald Trump died?
Second best news.
The vice president died?
Okay, third best news.
That Elon Musk died?
Okay, no. Nobody died. My best friend's getting married.
Which one is it?
Taylor Swift! Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce.
She's not your best friend. She's not your best friend. But this is the Democrat Party. Now, I'm tell you that these reports all over Al Gore's amazing internet that this woman, Krista Cole, apparently her real name, was married to a U.S. Army officer, and there are photographs of her with the U.S. Army officer, and that's her husband and the father of these children. And it turns out that that's the internet, and that the story of her being married to an Army officer apparently untrue. And I didn't even talk about it here on the radio, but I know that it was out there and it was all over the place, and somebody mentioned to me, oh, did you see that woman's married to an Army officer? And now it turns out it's probably the Democrats spreading disinformation again, like the North Koreans that they are. It did remind me, though, of what's her name, my favorite member of Congress, Congresswoman Katie Porter. She's now out of Congress, but she's talking about raising her daughter, who she explained was a 9-year-old girl. And this is what the Democrats are raising children with.
I told my 9-year-old daughter that I was going to be speaking with you. And I said, what do you think about climate change? And she said, the earth is on fire and we're all going to die soon. And I asked her how that made her feel. And she said it made her feel angry.
Made her feel angry. And it showed that was how she felt. She felt angry that the world is on fire and we're all going to die soon. And she's a Democrat member of Congress. The woman I just played with her little girls, a school teacher in the United States of America. They're both lefties, obviously, and they're raising the next demented generation of mentally ill, completely nutty, unstable lunatics. And I find that to be appalling. They shouldn't be allowed to have children. In fact, I'm kind of surprised they're doing what needs to be done to create children. But But never mind that. We were just talking about Congressman Jamie Raskin, who is going off on a tear like Chuck Schumer. It's communism. It's despicable. It's disgusting. It's authoritarianism. Trump canceled the Jimmy Kimmel show. The ignorant, what was the ignorant sluts? That was the old Saturday Night Live thing. Why, Senator Schumer, you ignorant slut. They have no reason to even suggest that Donald Trump or the White House was involved in any way with ABC in sidelining Jimmy Kimmel. But facts are not their bag. And then Jamie Raskin, after Chuck Schumer said, despicable, disgusting, authoritarian, Xi Jinping, it's not what democracies do, it's autocracies. And this is the incendiary shooting people rhetoric of the Democrat Party. And Schumer, the lizard, should be aware that his rhetoric inspired a gunman, Nicholas Roski, a Democrat, to show up at Brett Kavanaugh's house. He should be aware that Democrats are shooting members of Congress and the President of the United States, and a conservative activist and Christian shot and killed him. This is what the Democrat Party is making normal. They also made rioting normal until January 6th, when suddenly rioting was completely unacceptable. It had been acceptable 530 times until it wasn't them. The left is a criminal enterprise. Speaking of the left, let's go back to Jamie Raskin, because we didn't finish up with him. Jamie Raskin talking about, Jimmy Kimmel has been pulled off the air by ABC because their stations groups at Sinclair and Nexstar are saying, we're not going to keep airing that. They probably hear from people that used to be viewers. But Jamie Raskin.
This is a very dangerous moment for American constitutional democracy.
Stop shooting people.
ABC, CBS, NBC, Washington Post, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, you name it. And he, for billions of dollars, and he shakes them down for millions of dollars. And more importantly, he gets his way with how they are going to report the news or express their opinions.
Lie.
And you've got a chair of the FCC who's acting like a communist commissar.
Now, this incendiary, firebomb-throwing rhetoric is what's getting people shot and killed. And the filth of Jamie Raskin and of Chuck the Lizard King Schumer, the gigantic lies, the Nazi Goebbels-style lies that these people spread. Trump, first of all, who cares that Jimmy Kimmel nobody got canceled. He didn't even get canceled. Have you looked up what he makes? I think he makes $15 million a year, something like that, for a show that nobody really cares about, nobody watches. And it reminds me of, let's skip number 8, but go to number 9. The great one-time Tonight Show host, long-time Tonight Show host on NBC, Johnny Carson, was asked many years ago about politics in his job and being the host of the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson for all those years. Hey, what about because lefties were pressuring him to bring politics in, their politics, of course? Johnny Carson said this.
I think one of the dangers, if you are a comedian, which basically I am, if you start to take yourself too seriously and start to comment on social issues, your sense of humor suffers somewhere.
Yeah, well, that's been demonstrated. Johnny Carson was right about that. Nice Nebraska boy was he. And he said, politics, I'm a comedian. It's supposed to be funny. Why would I be doing politics and all of this? Johnny Carson.
And we've had some criticism on the show. Some critics over the years says, well, the show has no great sociological value. It's not controversial. It's not deep. The Tonight Show basically is to amuse people, to make them laugh.
Now, that ethos is long gone and dead because the left took over, and everything must be politicized from gender to the weather to language. And I got it, it's Rolling Stone magazine in 2023 had a big article that got lots of attention. Why cancel culture is good for democracy. They were lying. These are the people that put Joker Zarnaev, the Boston Marathon bomber, on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine to turn him into a sex symbol so they could have sex with him, because that's their thing. And their headline from February 20th of 2023 by Ernest Owens. Why cancel culture is good for democracy. History has shown us that those in power are obsessed with turning any form of accountability, had they used the word, into a phenomenon that is intended to bring us into sudden doom. Well, no, but okay. Following is an excerpt from the upcoming book, The Case for Cancel Culture, : God, they love their colons. How this democratic tool works to liberate us all. No, the fascists were canceling people that don't sing from their sheet music. And then they wrote articles that are supposed to be intellectual and journalistic articles, and they preach them to people on college campuses, that cancel culture is good as long as the communist, socialist, left, anti-capitalist, authoritarian left, which they are, as long as they're in charge of who gets canceled, right? But now they say, wait a minute, one of our guys with a late-night network TV show got canceled. It's the end of democracy. It's authoritarianism. It's what Xi Jinping would do in communist China. You guys are in bed with Xi Jinping, naked, oiled up, wriggling around all over the place. And why cancel culture is good for democracy a matter of months ago, then Jimmy Kimmel gets maybe canceled, and it's the end of democracy, it's authoritarianism. These clowns, these lizard-like clowns like Schumer and Raskin and the whole gang that they run with, just debris. Truly appalling people.
Jane, you ignorant slut.
Back when Saturday Night Live was funny and they did comedy, the Democrats murdered comedy. They killed it. They're not the good guys. Then they murdered Charlie Kirk. They tried to murder Donald Trump at least twice. They tried to murder an entire baseball field full of Republican members of Congress, the House and the Senate. A suicide attack was that one by a Bernie Sanders campaign volunteer. It was a Democrat volunteer for the Democrat Governor George Wallace running for president that killed Martin Luther King with a rifle. The Democrat Party has a long history of political violence. Now, Charlie Kirk was assassinated a week ago yesterday, 8 days ago. And I got to say, the police out there in Utah have been great, and the prosecutor, great on camera. And it's not easy. There's a lot of pressure and national attention, all that. But I have the Washington County, Utah Sheriff, Nate Brooksby, talking about arresting the creep, the killer, with the help of the parents of the creepy killer. And I want to play that for you because here's another guy. I would have corrected his grammar once or twice, but here's another guy who's just no nonsense and good guy. He's one of the good guys, one of the regular guys, and I've got him coming up for you as well. The sheriff of Washington County, Utah, Nate Brooksby, and very good, very strong. These guys, they're regular people, you know. Isn't that great? And I've got the hearing Kash Patel yesterday on Capitol Hill, some remarkable moments there from the crazy people, from the mental people, from the racist people, the Democrats. You know, the big wireless companies are pulling one over on all of us and have been for a long time now. It's time to make the switch to consumer cellular. Listen, I made the switch. I'm getting the same fast, reliable, nationwide, big wireless coverage, same towers, same transmitters, but without the big wireless cost every month. And it may not just be about saving money on my bill every month. It's about not being used and abused by the big cell phone carriers. Do you have any idea how much data you use every month? I certainly do not. Most people over 50 use less than 8 gigs of data in a month. But Big Wireless, they shove everybody into an unlimited plan because they need you to redistribute your payments to cover the costs of 19-year-olds that use 10 times as much data as you use, and they've got to offset their expenses by charging you more. So if you're not using all that data, you are the one being used. Had enough of that? Make the switch to Consumer Cellular. Listen, set me up with a phone and a service. It's really easy to make the switch. You call, you talk to an actual person, not a computer, based right here in the United States, not in a far-off land. Real human beings that are helpful, and it only takes about 20 minutes. So give them a call today and make the switch. Call 1-800-760-0702. That's 800-760-0702. Yes, sir. All right, more coming up. Got the final stretch, rounding the bend. Just grab this great item. Here's Jimmy Kimmel. This is Jimmy Kimmel. When Tucker Carlson parted ways with Fox News, Jimmy Kimmel couldn't have been more excited about, he's saying, Tucker Carlson being fired by, and by the way, Chuck Schumer was very much in the middle of that, screaming that Tucker Carlson should be lynched and fired because he didn't sing from the Democrat Party sheet music on January 6th, where Ashley Babbitt was shot and killed while unarmed by a police officer who was celebrated by the Democrats. But, you know, they shoot women and kill them, and they love Kilmore Abrego Garcia, who beats women, and they want to get more of them into the country, the Democrat Party. Here is Jimmy Kimmel on Tucker Carlson being let go by Fox News.
Fox News has severed bow ties with Tucker Carlson. After all these years, they are parting ways, which means he was fired. I mean, that's really what parting ways means.
And the crowd goes wild. But
Tucker couldn't be reached for comment. He's already on a plane to
say.
Moscow to meet with his manager.
Oh, the old Russia.
What a shock. I mean, what an absolutely delightful shock this is. Now Tucker can spend more time at home tanning his testicles and touching himself to that sexy green M&M. Sadly, he's probably not done poisoning old people's brains. The question now is, where will he do it next? Will he go to OAN? Will he go to Newsmax? Will he crawl back up Satan's fiery beehole from whence he came? We don't know. One of the most despicable Mother Tuckers ever to appear on American television.
Now, that's Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin comedy there. This is the Democrat Party. And amazing that this is Jimmy Kimmel on a national television show given to him over the airwaves, regulated by the FCC, and licensed to ABC by the federal government. And what was that all about again? That's amazing stuff. And then it's now Chuck Schumer. You may recall it. He's now on a tear. America's meant to be a bastion of free speech. Everybody across the political spectrum should be speaking out to stop what happened to Jimmy Kimmel. This is about protecting democracy. This must go to court. This is over Jimmy Kimmel being suspended by ABC. They couldn't be bigger hypocrites. I looked up on the internet, Jimmy Kimmel. They say that his net worth is $50 million, $50 million, $50 million. And that he makes about $16 million a year. Again, Chuck Schumer, when Tucker Carlson was parting ways with Fox News, Chuck Schumer went out there and was yelling and pounding the table, and Tucker Carlson didn't sing from the Democrat Party sheet music on January 6th, so Tucker Carlson must be fired. There must be accountability, right? And now he's calling for a civil war over Jimmy Kimmel because he's the Lizard King, and he couldn't be a bigger hypocrite if he set out to become a bigger hypocrite. Just amazing.
Rupert Murdoch has a special obligation to stop Tucker Carlson from going on tonight, now that he's seen how he has perverted and slimed the truth, and from letting him go on again and again and again.
Yeah. Now, what is it that Jimmy Kimmel said earlier this week about the assassin of Charlie Kirk sliming the truth and slandering an entire segment of the population?
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Now, just incredible, fatuous lies, fraud perpetrated by this Joseph Goebbels-style propagandist. And today, Chuck Schumer is saying America is meant to be a bastion of free speech, but not when it comes to Tucker Carlson. Everybody across the political spectrum should be speaking out to stop what's happening to, not to Tucker Carlson, but to Jimmy Kimmel. This is about protecting democracy. We must go to court. Well, you guys should at least, not riot and burn and loot and kill people as you did over George Floyd, the career criminal. But that's that. You're a Democrat Party. Couldn't be bigger clowns, bigger hypocrites if their goal to become bigger hypocrites. Wow. The Democratic Party isn't democratic. You may recall that ABC News slandered President Trump, and they paid him $15 million because of the slanderous slander of George Stephanopoulos, who, again, was never a journalist. He was a Democrat Party Capitol Hill staffer and then White House staffer in the Clinton White House, and then immediately a $1 million ABC News journalist because they put Democrats, party activists, in those jobs, and then they spread propaganda for as long as they, and, he also, they pay him $30 million a year. $30 million a year for George Stephanopoulos, and he is a Democrat Party propagandist, and he lied about President Trump raping that lunatic E. Jean Carroll, who made up stories about the dressing room at Bergdorf Goodman and couldn't tell you what year it was. And could she tell us what decade it was? She might have been able to tell us what decade it was. No evidence of any kind. But George Snuffleupagus, being a Democrat Party loyalist and mouthpiece, he came up with a lot of hooey, and they settled the lawsuit for $15 million. The Democrats. Aren't they amazing? The left-wingers at Politico very upset today. Immigration judge orders Mahmoud Khalil. You remember Mahmoud Khalil, the campus, New York City agitator who lied on his student visa applications and didn't mention his affiliations with radical organizations that are calling for the complete extermination of the Jewish people on earth. And the Democrats applauded that and said, yeah, bring more Mahmoud Khalils. Well, an immigration judge yesterday ordered Mahmoud Khalil deported to Syria or Algeria. What happened to Uganda? I kind of like Uganda. Lawyers for the pro-Palestinian activist, that's what Politico calls him. He's a pro-Palestinian activist. He's a genocidal Jew killer. A Jew hater, at least. He supports all the Jew killers. Lawyers for the pro-Palestinian activists said they plan to appeal the immigration judge's order, with a team of lawyers being funded by Democrats, which was revealed in court documents filed Wednesday. An immigration judge in Louisiana has ordered pro-Palestinian activist, you can call him that, Mahmoud Khalil, a legal permanent resident in the U.S., deported to Syria or Algeria for failing to disclose certain information on his green card application, like he belongs to radical terrorist groups, according to documents filed in federal court Wednesday by his lawyers. He has multiple lawyers. Michael, how many lawyers do you have? How many lawyers? Jeff, how many lawyers do you have? Zero. Neither one of you guys have any lawyers, and you're just regular Americans. Khalil's lawyers suggested in a filing that they intended to appeal the deportation order, but expressed concern that the appeal process will likely be swift and unfavorable. Now, the order from the immigration judge, Jamie Comins, Jamie, Jamee, Comins, came despite a separate order in Khalil's federal case in New Jersey, where they're not flying the flags at half-staff because Democrats love murder and assassination. A federal case in New Jersey blocking his deportation while that court considers Khalil's legal arguments that his detention and deportation are unlawful retaliation for his Palestinian advocacy. They'd make the same argument for Hamas, for ISIS, for Al-Qaeda. the Democrats would at this point, because now they're on the side of Hamas and wiping Israel out from the river to the sea, which is a call for the genocide of the Jewish people. But isn't that amazing? So Mahmoud Khalil failed to disclose connections to UNRWA, the United Nations Relief, blah, 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 and Columbia University Anti-Israel Coalition. So he lied on the application for visa or visas, and the Democrats applaud that. Oh, that's good, because they're the open borders people. They want kill more Abrego Garcia in here by the thousands, beating their baby mamas and trafficking in human beings. That's the Democrat Party's position. So isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. So he didn't disclose that he had worked with the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, UNRWA, which is in bed with Hamas, and ties to Columbia University Apartheid Divest and Anti-Israel Campus Coalition. What do they say? The divests and whatever it is, cancel Israel. So he's a radical anti-Israel. But then he came in and he acted up on campus because he's a radical Islamist, genocidal Jew hater. And the Democrats applaud that. Even their Jews applaud that now. So according to court filings unsealed Wednesday, published by the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU, which used to be a level-headed organization, but they gave that up long ago, also showed that the judge cited the activism ties as central to her ruling. She denied Khalil's motion for relief, writing that the omissions in his applications for visas were deliberate and constituted grounds for removal. But the Democrat Party, they want more radicals, more extremists. Speaking of which, yesterday in Pennsylvania, 5 police officers were shot in a single incident. 3 of them were killed, while the police officers, who the Democrats vilify and demonize and want to defund, were serving a warrant in Pennsylvania. 5 law enforcement officers were shot, 3 of them fatally, in York County, Pennsylvania on Wednesday, the state police said. The officers were serving a warrant in North Codorus Township at the time. Law enforcement officials were briefed on the investigation, confirmed to ABC Fake News. The shooter was shot and killed by police, according to Pennsylvania State Police Commissioner Colonel Paris, Colonel Christopher Paris, who said that there was no ongoing threat. 2 officers were in critical but stable condition and are being treated at Wellspan York Hospital. 3 of them were killed because they were serving a warrant. And the Democrat Party is not on the side of the police. They're on the side of the people that shoot the police. The Democrat Party is not on the side of Charlie Kirk. They're on the side of the person that shot and killed Charlie Kirk. Democrat Party is not on the side of Donald Trump. They're on the side of the suicide attacker that shot Donald Trump through the ear. But isn't that amazing? The Democrat Party is not a friend of civilization in 2025. Man, oh man, I'm telling you. Also, something I want to slip in here because I talked about it a couple of times, and my friend Bradley Devlin at the Daily Signal, affiliated with the Heritage Foundation, a great website for news and information and fun. Bradley Devlin, good guy. His headline from day before yesterday now: Pugnacious, Principled Patriot. Pat Buchanan deserves the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And it's great stuff. Pat Buchanan is an American patriot. There was once a time in American conservative movement when saying that was forbidden. Isn't that great? December of 1991, William F. Buckley Jr. went in search of anti-Semitism from one Pat Buchanan, right? He spent 40,000 words in National Review to come to the following conclusion: I do not believe that Pat Buchanan is an anti-Semite. But the Democrats were smearing and slandering Pat Buchanan back then, and Ronald Reagan back then, and he was going to destroy the world and the end of democracy and nuclear apocalypse, and the Soviet Union was going to win, and President Reagan won everything, and he did it with the assistance of Pat Buchanan, who I'd like to say is a friend of mine and is a great American, and he does deserve the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And I hope that President Trump gets that. He is giving the Presidential Medal of Freedom posthumously to Charlie Kirk. He's already announced that. And I found Barack Obama gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom to like 19 people at once, and they were all communists who hate America. And what he gave Ellen DeGeneres, Barack Obama gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Smellin' Degenerate. Isn't that amazing? And a whole bunch of people like her. Just amazing. The Democrats. All right. Michael, what audio do we have running here? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I talked about the sheriff in Washington County in Utah, Nate Brooksby, talking about the assassin of Charlie Kirk being taken into custody, and the parents of the assassin, they saw their son in the pictures that Kash Patel at the FBI released, and they said, well, we're going to have to turn our son in, and they got their pastor, and then they got a law enforcement officer, and then they went to turn him in. The killer, a gay guy with his transgender boyfriend, said, well, I'll go in, but only if you're nice to me.
He knew it was inevitable that he would be caught. He was fearful of a SWAT team hit on his house, or he was fearful of being shot by law enforcement. So part of the negotiation and getting him to bring himself in was that we would treat it as delicate and as soft as possible to make him feel comfortable to where he would show up at my office, and that's exactly what happened.
What did he ask for? Can I ask?
He basically for a peaceful, gentle, comfortable transition for him to come out.
Can I ask? I like the reporter. Can I ask? It's Utah. Even the reporters are polite. Yesterday, and the police officers have been great there, and they really have. And they caught him in 33 hours. And the Democrat James Earl Ray got away for 2 months and was captured in London after he killed Martin Luther King. But there was a great moment yesterday in the Kash Patel hearing on Capitol Hill. Congressman Brandon Gill, talking to Kash Patel, the FBI director, about the assassination of Charlie Kirk by a Democrat whipped into a murderous frenzy by the Democrat Party. Congressman Brandon Gill speaking to FBI Director Kash Patel.
One of the more astounding aspects of this is that it's not just people. This comes from the very top, from their political leaders. Just a few days ago, a member of Congress of this body, Ilhan Omar, shared a video on her social media account about Charlie Kirk's murder, and I'll quote what it said. It said, "Charlie Kirk was Dr. Frankenstein, and his monster shot him through the neck." In other words, Charlie had it coming to him. The words that he said naturally led to his assassination. I mean, that is a reprehensible thing for a member of Congress to say, to suggest, to promote in any capacity. And there are people across this country who are losing their jobs for far less than this.
For far less than this, that is a straight-up fact, Congressman Brandon Gill.
It's amazing to me that the political left today, who were the originators and the cheerleaders of cancel culture, now have the backbone to attack conservatives for defending their assassinated friend. But there's a key difference here. Democrats want to silence conservatives for speaking obvious, self-evident ontological truths like that men aren't women and men can't get pregnant. That seems pretty basic. That seems like a basic truth that we should all be able to agree on.
Ontological truths. I like it. He speaks well. He's a Republican congressman from Texas, Congressman Brandon Gill.
Republicans, by contrast, are recognizing that a constitutional republic depends on the free and open exchange of ideas that we can debate without violence, and that assassinating a political rival is evil, it's wrong, and it should not be glorified or promoted or justified in any way, including in the way that Congresswoman Ilhan Omar did.
Including in the way that Ilhan Omar did. That is a fact check. Very well said, Congressman Gill from Texas. Well done. Well done indeed. House hearing. The Democrats really can't be taken seriously. President Trump boarding Marine One in Aylesbury, England, headed back to Air Force One to head back to the United States after an extraordinary visit to the United Kingdom.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Anything other than one of them. Now, here's Wolf Blitzer on CNN just a short time ago with Geraldo Rivera. And Wolf Blitzer says, well, he wasn't saying that the assassin was MAGA.
He's basically saying that members of MAGA are, because Tyler Robinson's a member of MAGA, and because of that, somehow they had it coming, that Charlie Kirk had it coming.
Let me just interrupt for a second, Geraldo. I want to get some context here, because Jimmy Kimmel, in that monologue, that late-night monologue, he was making a point about supposed right-wing finger-pointing at the left. He was not suggesting that Tyler Robinson, the 22-year-old suspect, was MAGA. He was not necessarily making that suggestion.
What? Then I don't understand the English language at all. That's exactly what he said. But if you watch CNN, you come away stupider. You come away more confused, more befuddled. But I just heard Jimmy Kimmel say that the Republicans are trying to make out like he's anything other than MAGA.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them.
Yeah, and that was too complicated for Wolf Blitzer, who's also paid millions and millions of dollars a year to do propaganda for the Democratic Party. And, we've had enough of it, Wolf. We've had enough of it, CNN. Did you see Keith Olbermann? What did Keith Olbermann say? That he hopes Sinclair, the company, should rot in hell with Charlie Kirk, because this is, and he's a longtime NBC $1 million anchorman too. Our media is the filthiest, most corrupt institution in America. They are a problem.